Oh baby, oh baby. Are we live? Are we live?
Zoom.
You never know. So the funny thing is, like, I think if you go back to your Zoom window, it says you're live, but it's just so hard to tell. Oh baby, we're live. What's up, everybody?
How you guys doing out there? Blue collar recruiting. So let me just say a couple things. We're in Dallas, Texas. Sean Day with Blue Skies Recruiting, and this group's all about just going after it, figuring it out, getting everybody to participate. I get tons of messages after these. This is our second or third one, and we congratulate us. We're actually on, I think.
Hey,
right?
We were able to make this work because we happen to be both traveling. We're in Dallas, like Sean said, and last week Zoom and Facebook didn't like each other. But I can't drop an F-bomb. Sean said I need to limit my F-bombs this time. But anyway, we can't screw this up because we're sitting right. Well, I shouldn't have said that. We could screw this up, but we took out one of the variables by sitting right next to each other. I'm gonna shut up. I gotta share this thing across the internet. You keep talking.
All right. So basically, what we're gonna do is, if you like this stuff, and we're just really getting it started, so I'm really hoping you guys will enjoy this. But we need you to click on the like, share this, and get everybody watching it that you can. Just pound that like button and share button right now. And that is only going to help. The more people we have watching this, the more ideas that come about, the more we can talk about it, the more we can improve the industry and find good people to make us some money and serve our clients and all that good stuff. So the more the merrier. And from all kinds of industries, service industries, that's our niche. House cleaning, that's my background. I owned a cleaning company for 20 years, and then Blue Skies came and bought my company. And I'm the recruiting director now. So we took a long time to figure this out, but we were stumbling around, battling around, and we bought a couple other cleaning companies and found out that we better get really good at recruiting. And we weren't. And so we learned an awful lot, and we're just continuing to learn. Technology changes all the time. We're adding new things all the time with technology. But tonight we're going to rip apart a couple things with, and by the way, Dan does bookkeeping too. He never shouts that out enough.
I'm the accountant nerd. And I'm Sean's biggest client because I don't like hiring people. So I sit behind my computer in Minneapolis and ask Sean to hire all of our window cleaners.
And I think it's I think it's important. Maybe not. Maybe this would make it go viral or something. I don't know. I should probably explain why Dan Plata and Sean Day are in a hotel room together, alone in Dallas, Texas.
Joe Rogers just said, "Are you two knuckleheads actually in Dallas?" We are actually in Dallas, Joe. You want to come have a beer? We got a couple beers in the fridge.
Debbie Sardone's having an event out here, and we've been invited, and also vendors, and she's a great client of ours as well. And we do a lot of things together, and she's phenomenal. I've known Debbie for about 20 or 25 years, and was part of one of the first probably 10 or 20 companies to join the Cleaning for a Reason Foundation. She found the nonprofit that cleans for women battling cancer, which has grown through the roof. And Debbie's just phenomenal at everything she does. And she's got a couple hundred people here that are waiting to just learn and get energized. And there's all kinds of stuff. Dan's putting out a bookkeeping
we're doing a little finance workshop
right?
action. Oh yeah.
He's the most exciting bookkeeper you're ever going to meet in your life. Trust me.
That's not saying a whole lot. Let's be honest about that. You keep the crowd kind of awake at least 50%.
So I had people moving out of the airplane because I'm coughing and wheezing and have a little bit of a cold. And
I had Sean call his doctor when he walked in. I was like, Sean, man, you better call your doctor. My wife's gonna be pissed.
So I'm quarantined now here. Dan and I were quarantined, having beers and trying to discuss recruiting. So that's sort of our background. And Dan's got what's the name of your gig again? I always get mixed up.
So Bobby said it. We were on last night on bookkeeping, beer, and BS. And Bobby was between that and the website. So our website for recruiting, bookkeeping, marketing is yourblueskies.com. And Bobby tried to say that at least 10 times and it was my blue skies, our blue skies, like everything except for what it actually is. So yourblueskies.com if you want to check out our website.
There you go. So how are we doing over there? We're looking good so far.
I'm not a great co-host. I'm really a subpar co-host. I'm getting it out there.
All right.
intro your topic, and by the time you intro your topic and what we want to talk about, maybe I'll have it shared a few more places.
Sure. So we're going to dive into job titles and job descriptions a little bit. And I used to, I don't do it quite as often as I probably should. Maybe I'll go back to it. But I used to talk to one of the directors and a sales manager over at Indeed once a week, usually twice a week, just to learn, just to tell them I need to know more about what's going on. And they change a lot of things in their system. They're a little bit clunky, and everybody out there that's used Indeed knows. You can find some people, but it's just clunky. Anyway, so in ZipRecruiter and some others, LinkedIn, we'll talk a little bit about that tonight. We've been using that quite a bit for some sales and operations managers, and so we don't just talk about cleaning techs. We talk about sales and territory managers and project managers and ops managers and admin help. We've even done like schedulers, dispatchers, field service managers, that type of thing. So as long as it's in the service industry, that's sort of where our blue collar network is, and that's the people we like to work with. Doesn't mean we can't hire a little bit of, I guess, what's blue and white together? Gray? Is that gray?
Yeah, we could have some gray collar. Yeah.
Gray collar workers too that are working for blue collar people. So one of the things that I can tell you that I see a lot with job titles and job descriptions is that people like to talk an awful lot about themselves. So we always talk about how sales and marketing is so parallel with, or so in the same ball game with marketing and sales and recruiting. Recruiting is so. When you think about the best salespeople I know in the world, and I've known a lot of salespeople, the best people I know
not
in
including
sales,
yours truly, worst salesperson on the planet.
One of the things that we talk about is the best salesperson in the world that I know is the one that listens and shuts their mouth the most. And so how's that play in recruiting? And the job posts that I usually see have a lot to do with, this is like my resume of a company. This is my company, and here's the awards we won. Here's this I have. This is why we're great. We, and you're just spewing off. And there's a job seeker looking to make 12 or 20 bucks an hour going, where's it in? Where's all this for me? Where's this at? What's in it for me? And, they might find that at paragraph 15, which is another thing I see a lot of. And we used to do all these things too. We made 100 mistakes going along the way until we spent about 9 months of trying to figure out our system. And I'll tell you how crazy it is. I remember, I think it was that John over at Indeed was telling me, he's a sales rep over there, that there's a certain amount of characters. And what I mean by that is not Bobby, Dan, and Josh. What I mean, what I mean by characters is the letter A, a dot, a dash, parentheses, characters, whatever it is. And there's a certain amount of characters, a range you need to be within in both your job title and job description. So if you're outside of that range, either not enough characters or too many characters, you can drastically reduce your application flow and the quality of your applicants. So that's just one of a lot of things that you need to consider, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. But so back to the job description, we'll talk about some of the don'ts, I guess, right now. And so just to mention a few. So that's one of them. The other thing is you don't want to have one paragraph and that's it. The other thing you don't want to do is have, I had somebody the other day.
Hold on, let me stop you for a second.
Sure.
What do you mean don't just have one paragraph? You mean like show it as more of an outline rather than text, or like not just have one condensed pile of garbage, but like break it into so can you?
So I'm kind of still on the character count thing a little bit. So, but those are some good points. If you only have, I think it's, and I'll have to look this up, or you can message me, or I'll message it out maybe. I think it's roughly around 1,400 character count in your job description, 1,500 to maybe 2,000, somewhere in there is pretty good. It can be a little bit more than that. If you go much further than about 3,000 characters, you're starting to lose traction, and you're going to have less application flow. And job titles and job descriptions have only one thing, only one purpose while they're on planet Earth, and that is to create as much application flow as possible, period, end of story. So you don't want to have just a paragraph, which is not within that range, and you don't want to have a book. I had somebody that texted us over or messaged us over, emailed us over. It was a book. They had, I mean, it was literally probably, I don't know, it had to be 10,000 characters or something like that. And the great majority of it was about the business. And, you know, so we had to chop that up a little bit and dissect it a little bit. And the other thing too is, what do we do in sales when we're talking to somebody? You know, if you're selling maybe to a doctor or a lawyer or somebody that's an uppity up type of person, you're maybe going to use a little bit different lingo than you would with
you're
somebody.
Probably not going to use
right?
uppity up.
Right. You know what I mean? You're not going to say, "Hey, dude, this is what the hell we're talking about, dude." And by the way, man, this and that. You know what we want to talk their language too. You know, when we put things together in sales, depending on who your target market is, maybe to a commercial account or a property manager or something like that is maybe going to be a little bit different if you're doing FHA, you know, turns, or you're turning apartments that are getting trashed, or college fraternity houses or something like that. You're probably going to talk a little bit differently. So the same holds true with your recruiting. You know, in fact, your sales positions may be a little bit more. Your operation manager, the person that you want to run your business, we're going to talk a little bit differently maybe to that person than maybe your tech. Maybe not. It depends on your culture and some other things. But I suggest doing that. So that's sort of in the character count. And as far as the job titles, you want to be around 50 characters, somewhere around 20 to 50 characters, somewhere in there. The job title is not quite as drastically important character count wise as job description. And the other thing that tends to happen is your application flow goes down if you're way too long, because what's everybody now looking at today? We want one sentence. We look at things for 10 seconds and we're done, right?
Yeah.
So if you're going to write a book, make it interesting. So the other thing I want to talk about, any questions about that? Any comments about that?
So you're talking about characters, and maybe I'm front running here. How important is it to like keywords? I'm thinking keywords. Like I know, I am not a recruiting expert. I just know enough about what we do to like hopefully ask a halfway intelligent question.
Yeah.
So I know it's all about keywords, like you said. Marketing and recruiting, it's like the same damn thing. Just the audience is a little bit different, but the way you approach it is very similar. So just like Google ads, when you're writing a job ad, you're hitting those keywords. Do you think about those keywords differently when you're writing the title of the job ad versus what you're actually layering into the job ad?
Yeah.
Do the algorithms work different?
They do. So one of the things that I do, and let me see if I can share this here somehow or the other.
We'll find out. I thought I was the one doing the sharing.
Let's try something here.
Uh-oh.
Am I doing it?
I don't know.
Hard to tell.
You tell me. Looks like it.
I think I'm sharing it. Let's hope
Holy
so.
smokes. Holy smokes.
Here's one of the things that I do in doing research for keywords. And keywords are extremely important on all job boards, social media, Craigslist, whatever you're using. And I'm going to get into why it's important to use as many of those as possible. And hopefully a lot of it for free, but not all of it. So anyway, let's go into a house cleaner. We're going to start with a tech in the house cleaning industry as an example here. We're going to use Chesterland, Ohio, which is one of our locations. So one of the things I do is I go into Indeed and I'll do a resume search. Now, you do have to pay for resume searches. Indeed's changed that little rule. But come to us, and if you want to message me, and even if it's not, if you're not going to use our service for whatever reason, that's fine. But I'll help you out if you need help doing this. Just message me. But one of the things that I want to do is I want to go in here and I want to get a resume search. And the reason I want to do that is because it really, if you think about it, it helps you read the mind of what somebody is going to go, somebody being a job seeker. It helps you read their mind and what they probably will be using as a keyword in the job title and certainly in some part of the job description. And this is how we look at this, the psychology behind it, and the data proves this to be true. And my conversations with Indeed tells me it's true. And that is, if we look up the word house cleaner, we're looking to hire a house cleaner. So we go in here, house cleaner, Chesterland, Ohio. I hit resume search, and what comes up is 134 resumes.
Boom.
Okay, so not too bad.
Hire them. Let's get them.
Not too bad. And so, you know, what does that mean? That means 134 people in the last 6 months around our office updated their resume. So that's okay, I guess. So what's another word we might be able to use? And again, this might not be your job title at your office, okay? Or that might not be what you're going to have on their contract or their agreement or what you might call them. That's irrelevant. The job description and the job title have one purpose, and that is to get application flow. All right. So if we put in housekeeper, Chesterland, Ohio, it changes drastically. 2,900 people from 138.
Wow.
Now think about that for a minute. Not only is that huge numbers and a huge difference, but housekeeper, I don't know about you, but a housekeeper that goes in and cleans hotel rooms for a living. All right. I can't imagine in a hotel room what they're cleaning. Think about that. The things that you think go on in a hotel room, whether it's partying or whatever, you know, if somebody's drinking beer in a hotel room or whatever it
Never
is,
happened.
you know, and all those things, I'm not even going to go through all the mess that they must see.
What, man, I had no idea that was that drastic of a difference.
Yeah.
I do know. So we're in Dallas. We talked about that. If you talk to Debbie about her home cleaners, like we always say home cleaners,
Right.
all of our businesses are in the Midwest. Don't they say maids or maid service down here, which is like in the Midwest, it's like you would never say that, or it's frowned upon. But
yeah, I mean, and that's true. I mean, if you think about it, and I tell people this a lot, in Texas where we're at, the word maids is used a lot. Now, where I'm from in Cleveland, Ohio, you don't use the word maids. It's usually house cleaner, housekeeper, something like that, home cleaner, or just cleaner. It's kind of like when I go look for Nikes, I don't go look for sneakers. I don't know what the hell a sneaker is. I look for tennis shoes. Okay. I do not ever order a Coke. When I want a Coke, I don't order a soda. I don't know what a soda is. I want a pop. Okay. Same thing. You know, it's keywords, just like Google, like you were saying it. So if it's all about application flow and it's all about getting the most numbers you can to apply for your jobs, and regardless if it's good, bad, or ugly people, we don't care about that. We'll fix that along the process and along the system, especially if you automate it. So at the beginning, it's all the numbers, right? Just like sales. What's sales? We want to get as many. If you put an ad out there, do you want to just hope that you get 10 phone calls and that 5 of them are great, or do you want 1,000 phone calls and 50 of them are great? Right? Same thing. We want 1,000 or 2. We don't want 134 house cleaners. We want 3,000 housekeepers. And those people are good workers, and they'll have experience and so on and so forth.
So the next part of that question from my end is like, therefore, when you're writing that ad, how do you layer in? I mean, you're going to use that word if you're writing an ad. I would assume that's the keyword that you want to target, is you kind of do that search, find your keywords.
So we've got in this ad for us in Chesterland, house cleaner, housekeeper. Okay. Now, there are certain things that you're going to want to do in Indeed compared to Facebook.
Our man Thad Eckhoff is watching. What's up, Thad?
There he is.
Looking forward to the huge. Hopefully, coronavirus is done so we can do it in huge fashion. Anyway, carry on. Sorry, I interrupted you.
I told you not to mention that word. We found out today my kids, the schools in Ohio, the state of Ohio, are all closed per the governor. The governor made the call that every school, public school on Monday, is closed for 3 weeks.
Ooh.
So I work out of my home, and I have an 11 and a 12-year-old. Get it? All right. So don't use that word anymore.
All right. No virus.
We were talking about getting Corona beer for this tonight and then having just a big red X on the bottle.
Yeah.
We probably should.
Bad marketing for them.
Yeah, it would.
No ill will.
All right. So I got house cleaner and housekeeper in here.
Right.
So, but you do have to know in certain, like Indeed, for example, you might want to use, and this is not an Indeed ad here. This is just a general ad on our career page. And Indeed, you would want to put a slash in here, a backslash. And that's just what I know from talking to my people at Indeed. Okay, it makes a difference in how you're not going to get no applications, but it's all about numbers. That's just a part of the thing that they have in their system that works better. In ZipRecruiter, it doesn't matter. You can put whatever you want in ZipRecruiter. And Craigslist is the same way. Craigslist is a little bit different. I'll just touch on that a little bit. Craigslist is more about not so much the job title as it is you should probably have like asterisks and all these goofy things because it's the headline.
Attention.
Just get that headline.
Yep.
And then people click on it. It's not too much about it. With Craigslist though, there's some, I'm not going to talk a lot about this. If you're interested to know, you can message me about this. It's more about the keywords are at the bottom in tags. And a lot of people don't know that.
Yeah, interesting.
So you'll have like
kind of the opposite of everything else where the keywords are more
Indeed needs to be on top, right? So it's a little bit different from place to place, which is important if you're doing recruiting. And I can go on and on about that for a couple hours, but we're going to run out of time and you'll be bored to death. So let me get into the job description.
Let's do it. Let's do an ad. Let's break it down.
We talked about the title.
I'm going to keep asking you really annoying questions.
Yeah,
that seems like common sense. So
it's perfect. It's perfect. So in all job boards, you want to do this, and Craigslist and everything else, because it doesn't harm you at all to do it in any of those one places. Okay. So what you want to do, but it helps you tremendously in Indeed, and it helps you tremendously in ZipRecruiter and most job boards, not social media as much like Facebook, LinkedIn, and that type of thing, and not so much on Craigslist. So it doesn't harm you. What you want to do is you want to pile the first paragraph with keywords.
How careful do you need to be that you're not like, hey, we clean this and we clean that, and if you need something clean, we got house cleaners, and cleaning your house is our number one thing.
Hardly at all.
It doesn't even matter.
No.
I mean,
Google will penalize you for crazy stuff like that. I
Yeah.
know that. I think they still do. I don't know. Paul's the marketing guy.
Yeah.
So
I mean, you probably want it to read decent just so you don't scare people away because you're talking like a goofball.
Exactly. But it's so one of the things that I see a lot, go back to the do's and don'ts. One of the big don'ts is, and we like to use fancy words because we have brought the cleaning industry up and the service industry up with our associations, events like this. We're here again at Debbie Sardone's event, her live event with a couple hundred people, which is phenomenal. But so the industry has, but we use words like professional engineering technician. And if I were to look that up in a resume, a search and cleaning technician professional, and I'll probably shoot myself in the foot because I don't think I've ever done this.
No time like the present. What do you got?
A whole 6.
Boom.
So you just killed your application flow using the technician and maybe not even the professional. I don't know. But you get the gist of it. Still not anywhere near where we want it to be.
Yeah.
And the word technician is going to bring a lot of people in there too that are not qualified, that you definitely don't want to talk to. So anyway, so that's what we do. And let's take a look at it here. If I can get my screen just a little bit bigger. Get my face out of my screen there. So we've got keywords. We know house cleaners. There's home cleaner here. Okay. And you don't have to be really, it doesn't have to be perfect with keywords. Just dash them in there. And maids is okay, but don't make that your main one. If you're in Cleveland, Ohio. And we happen to be in Cleveland, Ohio. So I only have the word maid in there once or twice.
I was reading your screen on my screen. As trippy as that is, and I was like, between if I highlighted every time you have the word clean, house, home, and then keeper, you've got keeper in there a few times, which we know is one of the key words. It's like, but it never sounded repetitive.
Yeah, and one of the little tricks too and tips that I do most of the time is we consider people from other industries like housekeeper. So then you can pile in keywords and it starts to make sense to do that because you're listing out those industries and all you're doing is listing out keywords.
Yeah, you're just hitting the same keyword over and over again, but hitting it from a different angle.
You got it. Cool. And one of the things that I like to do too is we talk about that attention getter and people, the lifespan or the attention span of people is about one paragraph or so. So you always want to make sure they don't have a lot of time. We want them to apply. We don't want them spending all day reading the job description necessarily, because we do have screening, we screen out during the application process and that. So I like to put things that would maybe people don't think about in the retail. We don't mind hiring somebody that's got really good attitude, has some fun, isn't going to be a gossip king or queen, and is going to show up to work every day. So there's plenty of people in the retail business that do those things, right? Maybe they don't clean, but I bet there's a lot of people in retail that said, I can make how much money cleaning houses, and I don't have to work on the weekend. I don't have to work at night, and I don't have to work on Christmas Eve and New Year's Day. I mean, that's a big thing to some people. So I like to put that.
Man, I'm ready to start cleaning again.
Right, don't you?
I clean a mean toilet. I know that.
You mean you work nights, weekends, and holidays?
No. What? Well, yeah, I do.
Right? Yes, you do.
Yeah.
You just don't know. That's your life.
My wife tells me that I do it. I'm just bookkeeping. It's not work.
That's so funny. So that's paragraph 1. I mean, you just dial in with a bunch of different keywords, and it's not. And you'll notice here I've got the word retail associates, retail sales, because even though I don't pepper it in there a whole bunch, it's still a keyword that's in there because it's a job title,
people that are looking for retail jobs to find your job and be like, wait, I can legit not work nights and weekends or holidays. I thought I wanted to be in retail.
Right,
but
exactly.
I guess I don't mind cleaning houses.
Because one of the first things they look at is how much they're going to get paid. And that usually shows up in the job ad somewhere in a different way, not in the job description. You can certainly put it in the job description, but most job boards and stuff have it in there so that they can see it right away.
So I'm going to stop here. And I like this part of it I love. And so I just got to highlight it. So one of the things that I know that Sean and his team do is keep a super positive job ad. And I have run into it where I've seen it before, where people were using their job ad as a means of narrowing the funnel when we use it at Blue Skies to open the funnel wide up and super optimistic and super positive. And like the only no's that I see in here are none of this bad thing, none of this bad thing, and none of that bad thing. Like, I mean, I'm sure there's some constraints as we go down, but the whole thing that's on the screen is like, here's all the positives, here's who we're looking for, and then the why. And I'm a big Simon Sinek fan, so I'm all about the why. Like, start with why, boom, first thing listed, bunch of bullet points. Anyway, that jacks me up.
Yeah,
I like it.
Yep,
makes me thirsty.
And
easy of it.
So
right over there?
Yeah,
you good?
Yeah.
Okay.
And we'll do this maybe. We'll just have this
one
right here. Is that good enough?
Yeah.
So I told Dan this. I was on the plane. I think I don't know if I sneezed or coughed, one or the other. And literally the lady that's sitting next to me literally gets up, says, "Excuse me." And I see her walk back and forth, and then she sits down into another seat. So I'm sure she was scared to death to even be near me.
Yeah.
So I had the whole seat to myself, and it was
I should have tried that technique. I could have like laid down in the
I'm doing that for the rest of my travel time, man. I'll do that all summer, all winter. I don't care. I was going to tag along on something you had said there. So the job description is all about, it's your marketing, it's your sales, you're selling your business, you're selling that job, not so much your business, but the job, why they should work at your business. And
at what point? So to that point, at what point do you even talk about? Do you even talk about your business? Because you haven't said anything about who you are, which you talked about that earlier. Like, it's not about you, it's about them.
Right.
You like, I'm reading this ad. I know it's for a housekeeper, home cleaner in Chesterland, Ohio, but I don't even know who it's for yet.
Right.
Is that intentional?
Yeah, it is. And even to your point too, why join our team? I don't go and sit there and list, because we have several locations. We've got, we're diversified. So there's plenty of room for, you to jump in here, because we're so good at this. And we've got this great business, and we're buying businesses, which we're not right now, but we were at one time. And
what are you talking about? We literally just bought a business yesterday.
There you have it. See how much I know? All I do is recruit. Tell me where you need
We
them
did
and I'll
that-
find them.
We did that, by the way, we did that by a recruiting business yesterday, so you have nothing to worry about. By the way, we need a lot more employees in one
I got to
location.
recruit for a
Yeah.
recruiting company now. That's great. I think I can do that. But it's still selling the job, not the business. You're not trying to sell. You're not selling to a client. You're selling to a potential employee, and that's a big difference. Know your target market. Your target market is at 10 to 15, maybe wherever you're at, $20 an hour person. So they want to hear what's in it for them. Just like Mrs. Smith, if you want her cleaning business, she wants to know what's in it for her. So what is in it? So one of the things, and this is tough in our industry because we work with, the guy and gal that are out there still just cleaning on their own, no employees, maybe one just lost that employee or doesn't show, to 50 in techs. So we work with all kinds of different companies, company sizes.
I'm not bailing on you, I'm just, a beer.
I'm sure.
Do you need a beer?
Yeah, why not while you're up? I don't want to make you get up in 5 minutes from now.
Yeah.
Thanks, man.
Stay hydrated.
I will.
Hydration is one of the
I'm losing my voice
key
already.
elements to not getting coronavirus. You gotta stay hydrated.
Coronavirus. I told you not to mention that.
Oh, yeah.
Rewind this.
I'm not good at listening to directions, by the way. Have I told you that?
You're a contrarian, right? Is that what you said?
I'm a rebel contrarian. That's
A
what
rebel.
my wife says.
So why join our team? So one of the hard things about some of the companies we work with is you don't have health benefits. Maybe you don't pay as high as maybe the guy that's got 50 techs a couple miles down the road. But there's a lot of things that your culture is probably outstanding. So, one of the things that I always do is I talk about I want to know what a client of ours, at least what the culture is.
Yeah, the first thing is profile.
Yeah, absolutely. What are you all about? And in most cases, we've got people that we love our employees. They're like family. I like to use things like, are you a company that doesn't respect your employees? Well, then let's put that in there. We completely respect our employees. Are you a company that doesn't appreciate your employees? I doubt it. We appreciate you. You will feel appreciated if you work with us. You will be respected at all times if you work with us. Those are big selling points because most people in this labor market have a job. So they're probably disgruntled if they're looking for one. They're probably not appreciated. They're probably disrespected.
Yeah.
And why else would they leave a job if they're getting decent pay? They must have been getting decent pay at one time or another and they wouldn't have been there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they're either not liking the culture, they're not being appreciated.
Yeah, they're looking around.
They're looking.
They're
And those are key words in there that will catch their attention. Man,
Mhm.
You know what? The reason I'm looking is because I got all pissed off. The manager, Fred, again, got all pissed off at me. I'm working double shifts. I'm doing this. They don't appreciate me. They don't respect me.
Yep.
And guess what they see in your job description?
So hold on, I gotta stop you for a sec. I like posted it in the comments, but it's easier for me to say in the video. If you're watching this right now, shoot some notes out in the comments about what works for you in job ads.
Yeah.
What's that thing about your culture that when somebody comes in for an interview, they say, I saw this thing, like I had to check you out. Just curious kind of what everybody's secret sauce is that is
Yep.
the thing for you. We've got our thing at Blue Skies, your thing's probably different. So we can look at why join the Blue Skies team, which is kind of what we're looking at here. But what's your secret sauce? What do you put in your job ads that gets them coming in? Anyway,
Yep, good
let's
point.
get some interaction going.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. Because it's funny because I'll catch something from a new client and, oh my God, was that a good idea? Then I'm going, we need to edit about 20 of our clients because this sounds really good. And I love that.
Yeah.
And
Well, and I think that's kind of the cool thing is we're taking the best of everything and using it for everybody. And so just lifting the water level up.
And another thing that's cool that kind of comes to mind when you say that is we test a lot of things. And when we test it, I've got somebody that wants to do a demo on something that we might, look into eventually. And he says, well, why don't we just, he's trying to sell a little bit. And he says, why don't we just have a couple of your clients try this out? And so I said, well, we'll probably try out one of the Blue Skies locations. So we're able to test some things on our own with our own company to make sure it's something that's going to work for clients or anybody, even if
Yeah.
you're not a client of ours and you need some help, we're here to help.
Yeah.
So we got
AKA
that.
ZipRecruiter.
Exactly. Yep.
We put a ton into ZipRecruiter to make sure that it would work if
Yep.
we did it for a client.
That's right. So you're selling, and think about this for a minute. How much does it cost you to respect somebody? How much does it cost you? You don't have to go get health insurance if you can't afford it. You don't have to go out and have pay $20 an hour for a house cleaning business if you're just starting out. So these things don't cost you anything either. Respect and appreciation. Think about your culture a little bit. Why, if you can't think of a reason or a lot of reasons that somebody should work for you, you need to sit down and you don't need to hire anybody. You need to sit down and reevaluate who you are, who is your business.
Yeah.
And some of the things that we,
you make that sound easy. That sounds like that'd be the hardest thing to be like, shit.
Well, pause. Don't hire anybody, and that's another thing too, that kind of rolls into something else too, which is huge. And you don't really think about this a lot, but we always talk about, I've got like 30 years experience in sales. And I can tell you without doubt in anything, and I've been through business, I've been on the back end of it, I've been on the recruiting end of it, and then see, and then owning the business, I see the results that have to go out on the tech end. So it always starts with sales, right? And if your salespeople don't set or the owner doesn't set the expectations. So in other words, if you tell these people this is a great place to work, you're going to make $700 a week, and then they end up making $400 a week, that's a problem. If it's $400 a week, you don't be ashamed of that. Put $400 a week, but maybe we talk, and I do this a lot too. I talk, and maybe we could. Do you have a career ladder? Why don't we start to talk about?
I built one last year.
Yes,
I felt like you were putting me on the spot. I was like, so the funny thing is, I built one last year, and then whenever I was hiring a window cleaner in Minneapolis, I'd be like, shit. I don't have it. Like I had our old process memorized, and I would just hire them at like, hey, you start at $15 an hour or 25% commission. Shit, I forgot to use the career ladder. But this year it's going to be different.
I hope so. You're making my job harder with that app. This guy quit, man.
It's in Google Drive. I just gotta pull it up. I just forget what it is. I panic.
Don't panic. Don't panic. No,
you're making me nervous.
Yeah. All right. So that's it. And I mean, bonuses, tips. All those sorts, and I go back, no weekends, no holidays, no nights. If you happen to be a house cleaning company that has company vehicles, that's, I think, a big selling point for some people. Throw that in there. Most of us don't, and that's fine too. But think about your culture. Think about why anybody would want to work for you. And if you can't think of at least 5 things, you need to reevaluate your business. You really do. So that's we got job title, job description. The first part of it, again, is all about keywords, your first paragraph. And then you want to also put that we kind of glossed over a little bit. You do want to put some little bit of instructions in there.
Yeah.
And a little bit of, you got to hop over this before we just say, come on in an interview, right?
Yeah.
And I think at one point, and just like marketing, right, things change. Google has changed so much over the years, it's crazy. Direct mail used to be big when I started my company. It's not big anymore. Maybe door hanger store or something. Postage is way too much. You don't send out 50,000 postcards like we used to 25 years ago with technology and everything. So one of the things that I think has changed in the last 3 years or so, 2 or 3 years, we used to make them jump through a lot of hoops.
Yeah.
And I think what's happened is that was okay back then because the job market wasn't as tight. Even a year and a half ago, the job market was not as tight as it is right now. Unemployment rate may be a little bit tighter, but the economy is completely different now. The job seeking it's been a job seekers market for so long.
Mm-hmm.
They know to play the game, and they know that they're in high demand.
They've got the leverage.
And who do we want to hire? We want to hire smart people that have their shit together, that are ready to be reliable, come to work and take care of business for us. They're not waiting for us. They're not going to jump through that many hoops. If there's 20 jobs out there that I can go get in a week, okay, I'm not jumping through a lot of hoops. I'm going to figure out who I want to interview with and go. So we've actually reduced that kind of jumping through the hoop a little bit. But you do still want to put in, we put in no
Hey,
calls,
thanks
no
for the
emails.
like, Dan Renard. Got a like popped up on my screen.
That's exciting.
Booyah. Hey, wait. So
Yes.
we got a comment. I don't know if you know this person or not. Their name is Denise Nash. Do you know her?
Yeah, she's at Hillbilly in Cleveland.
Yeah. Oh man, you're gonna be in trouble when you get
Oh
home.
yeah, she might embarrass me here.
You better hope you get
Let me tell you the story about Sean. What did she say?
She said, and like this is so true. This is exactly the reason why I make breakfast sandwiches for all of our guys on Monday morning, because I know Monday mornings suck.
Yeah.
And the number one thing why people leave their job is like they don't leave the job, they leave the manager, right?
Right.
And it's because that manager doesn't appreciate them.
Yep.
And so breakfast sandwiches, man, like just like the reason that my wife married me is because I'm not a terrible cook. I'm pretty sure that's like maybe only my only redeeming quality, that, and I love both. So like she's not a finance person. Maybe she married me because I can handle our finances. Maybe that's it. But that I can cook. And so making breakfast sandwiches on Monday morning cost me like $5. And literally like we never had
like $5 total.
Yeah. I mean,
and
we had 10 techs, and so, but it's like bagels, English muffins, friggin' big pack of eggs, some slices of ham, some cheese.
Yep.
Like $5 per week.
Yep.
And nobody was missing work on Mondays. Everybody started the week with a friggin' hot sandwich.
That's all they talk about.
Yeah. Every once in a while, I'd make sandwiches again at some point in the week because I also like a breakfast sandwich. And I have $5. I'm not. Breakfast sandwiches on me.
Yeah,
that's huge. That appreciation was huge. I love that stuff. And it just so happens I love making breakfast sandwiches and also making myself.
It is. It's fun.
Perfect.
It's fun. Perfect. How do you make it fun? How do you make the job fun? This is, those are things you're selling, right? Appreciation, respect. And I don't think there's many job postings I put up that doesn't.
Hey, by the way, do you put breakfast sandwiches in my Minneapolis job post as why join our team? Because I feel like we should add that.
I don't want to hold your feet to the fire in case something changes, but if you'd like me to,
we might have to put that on our breakfast. CEO makes breakfast sandwiches every Monday.
Put that on my pile list. All right, so that's good. The next thing is sort of the knockout questions. And you don't want to, I even think the one I'm looking at here for us is maybe a little bit too long. You don't want to have it any longer than necessary, because this is the actual one part where it's like, don't do this, don't do that. You can't be this, you can't do that. Yeah. So you got to be careful there. One of the things that we're going through literally as I speak throughout the rest of this week and into next week is, they're getting them, meaning the states. It's state by state. It's not anything federal, but usually a lot of times federal pick up on it and want to do it as well. Is you got to be careful about background checks lately. And I want to make that very clear. You don't see in our ad and in a lot of our ads under job requirements anything about background checks, because in some states, and Minnesota is one of them.
Yeah, Minnesota is real picky now.
Yep. You can't pre-screen or pre-qualify a candidate until you offer them a job. And you can't even mention you do background checks in the job description. You can't even mention it in some states during the interview. You can only mention it in some states if you offer them the job and make it subject to a background check.
Yeah.
And that's it. Some states are going to start making law on if that you cannot not hire somebody because of this on their background check.
Yeah.
So you got to be very careful. And I'm not a lawyer. I'm not going to go into the specifics of it, but I can tell you that you've got to watch that, and you can go onto your state and Google it in your state, call your labor rep. I had somebody call me, and it was actually a franchise, and they had said their HR person had said to two of our customers that were using us that you got to stop using them because they're wording things illegally in there. So I challenged that and said, well, could you please tell me what we're doing illegal? And she wouldn't. Never got back to me. So I literally called the Department of Labor, and in the state, I called the state that this company was in. And went line by line, and it took me about 2 hours to go through that with somebody, and they couldn't find anything that we did illegal. Okay, so, but we go to that extreme because I'm telling you now, you do not want an attorney coming in with any employee issues about background checks and stuff like that, because you're going to.
You know what I'm telling you? I'm really glad you do that, so I don't have to do it.
Yeah. When's the last time you checked that out? Right?
Yeah.
Nobody does that stuff.
Check what out?
Exactly. So anyway, so these are some knockout questions that you do want to make sure that these are only things though that are about if we can't hire you if you don't have a valid driver's license. You got to speak English. You got to have a reliable car and some things like that. I
do like how in here Sean's got like sprinkled in a positive. So it's like constraint. We reimburse for, like, you got to have a nice car, but we're reimbursed for this. And then I was reading ahead because I'm ADD like that. Like sprinkle. Work hard, but have a lot of fun along the way and kind of like capitalize on the positives. So requirements, constraints, but sprinkle in some positives.
One of the other things too is the no smoking thing. It's illegal in some states to say you can't smoke. If it's legal to smoke in the state, which it is in every state of the union, you can't tell somebody they can't smoke. I'm not going to hire you. That's illegal in some
tell
states.
Them where they can smoke?
You can tell. It depends on the state law, really. You can. So what I do to kind of get around that is, and we put it in here, is no smoking in any cars, offices, or client property per federal and state law or state laws. Yeah. And you kind of get out of it and blame it on the state.
Yeah.
So you're not mentioning everything. You can't mention everything in a state law about, their pages long. Yeah. So just put it, throw them under the bus, and you're pretty much safe at that point.
And what they said.
Yeah, it's whatever the law is, we adhere to it.
Yeah.
The other thing we get a lot of too is I want to make if you came to me 20 years ago and I probably you would think the older I get, the more conservative I get with this, but it's not.
Now you're just figuring out which boundaries you can push a little bit more.
The world changes. I got to change with it. All right.
That's a good perspective.
If you had a bunch of earrings other than in your earlobes, I'd look at you and go, I'm not hiring this person probably. Okay. If I saw this and that and over here and a couple of these and a bone over here and all that stuff, I was really going, my customers are going to like this. I think. And today it doesn't bother me a bit. I think today that most people, especially people you want to have as customers that are open-minded, that aren't going to scream and yell about everything and they're all that. Yeah. Most customers don't mind somebody that looks like has some tattoos and has some iron in their face and things like that. It's much more acceptable, and especially in a labor market like this, I can't tell you how many people that we've hired that have tattoos and have, and I'm talking house cleaning and window clean, whatever. Yeah. And earrings all over the place and hair looking crazy colors and everything else. Some of the best cleaners we've ever hired. Yeah. I mean, really. So why shortchange yourself over something like that?
The old cover of the book.
Yeah. If you got a good cleaner and she's got, blue hair or pink hair, what are you doing?
You mean like Nikki?
Yeah.
Our general manager in Cleveland.
Yep. And she's awesome.
Yeah,
she's awesome.
She's the shit.
And tattoos.
Right. Yeah. So, now you hit the requirements.
I'd like to hear people's feedback on that, on earrings and the face and the hair. What are you doing out there? And maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. That's us. I'm sure there's still some things, because I'll get companies that'll tell me, they need to be really well groomed. They need to be none of this, none of that. And I'm wondering, maybe there's a lot of people out there that don't agree with that. I don't know. Yeah. I'd like to hear about that.
You have it listed here, well-spoken, well-groomed, professional with team and clients. But I think there's well-groomed, not including myself, who's a little shaggy. But there's also like you said, like, tattoos and piercings and stuff like that is not
right
unless it's somehow prohibiting them from doing the job,
right?
Which I don't know what it would be, but make something up. but anyway, yeah, I see the same thing, and it's you know, I'm not our client.
Right.
I mean, I'm your client,
Right.
but I'm not our window cleaning, home cleaning client per se. Not our demographic target market anyway. But I don't see that. That's not a complaint we get.
I thought we marketed beer drinking, scraggly ice fishermen,
yeah,
hunters.
yeah. You need hey, while you're out dragging fish on today, you need somebody to clean your house. But no, like of all the, like we ask for feedback from all of our clients all the time, and now that you say that, like I was always anxious about it because that's the labor market,
Right?
And that is not feedback that we get.
Yep.
And if it is, I can't come up with a situation where we did get it, but it seems to me that that customer that holds that against you isn't your customer anyway. It's that customer you need to fire because
most times,
everything is a problem with them.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Move
on. Let's move on because we're killing a lot of time here. The one thing that I see at the bottom, apply now. Let's get this thing going. I like how that's just kind of like plain language. It's not like hoity-toity. Ooh, if you would like to be considered for this position, like apply now. Let's get you set up. Like it's talking like a human being talks.
Right.
It doesn't sound corporate. I love that. And then you list the salary at the bottom, and that's kind of where you leave it. So 2 questions. It's that. What's the strategy in putting the wage at the bottom and kind of like sending them off with that? And we pay commission based.
Right.
So how do you? Hold on. What do you got on your face? What the hell you got on your face?
Some of the taco.
Now I got
some of the taco.
virus.
You do have the virus.
No,
Your
no,
history.
Don't
touch your face. He's touching my face.
Yeah, if you got it, whatever.
You broke rule number 2.
Yeah. Well, that's not the first time we broke that rule. So why the wage at the bottom, and then why do you structure it the way you structure it versus saying commission rates around 40% or minimum?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, our pay is kind of confusing, so maybe I have something to do that, but I'm just curious the strategy behind that. And same thing, if you guys are out there, like, how do you put your pay in that job ad? Do you even put it in the job ad? Do you frame it differently? You go.
I think most people want to know one of 2 things. They either want to know their hourly rate, or they want to know what they're going to bring home, what that check, that paper check. So if you pay weekly, they want to know what that check's going to be.
Yeah.
Right. They don't know that, commission, I think, is understandable for a salesperson much more than a tech. It's just not a common, there's not a lot of probably restaurants that pay commission.
Yeah.
Retail might pay some commission if you sell a shirt or something like that. But in our industry, I think it's a scary thing because my paycheck changes. We live paycheck to paycheck, a lot of us in the tech world, right?
Yeah.
So they want to know what their paycheck's going to be every week.
Yeah.
And so I go with weekly 90% of the time. Now, you could put in here, which I have, if you look up here towards, why join our team. So right here, the word commission is in here.
Yeah. Yeah.
I leave it up to the interviewer to explain what that
how
is.
The pay structure
right.
Works, yeah.
How does that work?
And you got to sell it as a positive. Like the reality is our cleaners make so much more money commission than they ever could hourly.
Hands down. Not even close.
Because and the good ones make a shit ton. Like I think of a couple in St. Louis that like they literally make as much as I do in a week because they can just clean house after house after house after house. They're machines. And I remember
there was like, I can't remember who it was now, but I haven't looked at the cleaning paychecks in a while. But we're talking like $900 a week. Some people, $800 a week.
Hell yeah! Which is awesome.
Yeah, you're darn right.
Pumps me up.
But those are your best employees.
Yeah.
And that's a whole different topic that you probably do on yours. But it is, commissions definitely. But we want to talk their language.
Yeah.
We don't want to say pay 40% commission on this based on that. And all these other things, right? And we all, the law mandates that we pay a minimum wage.
Yeah.
So you have to figure out, and you have to report what the hourly is.
Yeah.
In most states, you need to report it to the state. What does that mean hourly?
Yeah.
Not all of them, but you know what I'm saying. So you have to know what your hourly rate pay is.
Yeah.
Put that in there. And I'm all for a range. I don't like a tight, close thing, even if it's salary. I never put that. If somebody says I pay $13 an hour, I go 12 to 15.
Yep.
I never put that dollar amount in there because things can change by the time you hire them.
Well,
and all this other
you
stuff.
you find the person that has a ton of experience, and you're going to pay them more, and you find the person you're willing to take a shot at, but you can't afford to pay them $15 an hour because you're taking a shot. And
then you found out the one that had experience sucks. So you're paying them 15, they should be paying 12 or not. So that's pretty much it. And as far as putting it at the bottom there, I'll be very honest with you. Just been doing that for 20 years, and it's not hurt me in any way, shape, or form that I can tell. So I do.
So why change it?
Yep.
Cool.
And that's it.
What? I kind of teased it up when I shared this and said we are going to talk about other positions as well.
Yeah.
I don't like. You can choose if you want to share the screen on it or not. But I know right now, and this is more on the exterior cleaning side. Although I was talking to a friend of ours in Minneapolis who runs a cleaning business, like a maid service business, and he hired a salesperson. That's all they do. All they do is go out and do in-person estimates, which, I haven't heard of that where it's like all you do is answer the phone, set up an appointment, go out and do an estimate. Seems more prevalent on pressure washing and not as much on window cleaning, but more of the pressure washing, soft washing guys doing that. And more and more and more and more doing it. We tested it last year in Minneapolis, and not that it didn't work. It was just I didn't know how to build the processes for it.
Yeah.
I kind of hung the guy out to dry, to be honest. But so anyway, how do you? It's just you're hiring such a different person. So like, is the structure the same of the ad in general? How do you? I'm just asking questions that you're probably going to explain. What's the difference?
I think in the sales position, here's the don't. A couple of the don'ts. One of the things that we find is, I want to pay him 100% commission. If he or she doesn't sell anything, then I don't pay him. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's not an attractive job for a salesperson. For a salesperson, you're going to want to hire that's going to execute and do well.
Oh, you mean like a good one?
A good salesperson, right?
Okay.
In this market especially, because if I can go look at, if I popped up sales on the resume search, I'm not going to do it. There's going to be 7,000 jobs, 10,000 jobs. And if I hear somebody's going to pay me 100% commission and I'm a W-2 employee, I'm just not doing it. And if you're a 1099 employee and you want to subcontract out of the sales, they're usually got 10 or 15 other things they're looking to sell.
Yeah.
But nobody does that and sells one thing unless you're in the medical industry or something like that. Not in our industry.
Yep, gotcha.
So I don't know that it's I think it's definitely the same as far as keywords. You got to have those keywords in there. Sales rep, sales this, sales that. And that's another thing too in the sales game. There's so many different job titles that are the same damn person.
Yeah.
I've been called a sales rep, sales executive, sales assistant, sales manager, territory manager, territory sales manager, all these things, sales consultant. Okay, there's not that many things in cleaning. There's just not as a tech, as a technician. There's maybe 4 or 5. There's literally 10 or 15. So you definitely have to have the keywords in there. And then the one thing that I like to do is, and I think it's very important on a sales level, and I think it's important on the tech level too, and we didn't touch on it, but I think it's good to have a career path. Where's this headed, right? What is this all about? Because most people want to make more money and want to know they're going to make more money eventually if they do well. And they want to know is this, we talk about this as a career, not just a job. Well, where's the career? I see I'm cleaning houses and scrubbing toilets. Where's my career? Okay, so Debbie Chardon does a great job. She says it very simple. Give them a job they want and they love. Mm-hmm. So there's career path. We came up with a career path. I think we're still using some sort of career path.
Yep.
And here, this is one here. If you'll see here, your career. It says you want to put the word career in there for sure for sales. Your career here, our goal is to do, and what's the goal? Here's what we're trying to do for you. We want you to succeed because one of the biggest things that a salesperson wants to know is, do I have any leads? Are they going to support me, or am I just going to be handed a phone and told to get the hell out there, bring in some business or else? Okay, that's a salesperson's worst nightmare.
Mm-hmm.
They want to have some leads. Because most of us in sales get paid commission. Most of us on something.
Yep.
So
Yep.
that's uncertain. Is it our fault that as sales that that there's a recession or something happened like this virus? So sales is probably going to go down.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's not the sales, but they want a career. They want to know that we're going to be there. Maybe we need to spend a little bit more money to get clients, or maybe we need to spend a little bit more money messaging differently during this time with this virus. Mm-hmm. Those are things that we need to have the salesperson know. They've got a career. We've got them back. If you don't supply them with leads, I think that's a problem.
Yeah,
I just think it's a problem. And they want to know the benefits. I'll be very honest with you. It's tough to get a good salesperson that you're not going to be able to afford to pay benefits, vacation, paid time off, and those sorts of things. Now, health benefits isn't as important. My health benefits are with my wife's job. So there's a lot of people with, the spouse working that has good health insurance.
Yeah. So
a salesperson that is working on a high level that might not need health insurance, but certainly wants to hear these other things. I think leads is one of the most important things you can give a salesperson because I don't care. I just think especially if you're going to, hold money or do the draw concept, mm-hmm. strategy and things like that. They want to know that they've got some leads. And I think it's a mistake if you don't invest in leads it's like hiring your techs and saying you're going to have to go get your own truck. If you're in the window, you're going to have to get your own equipment, supplies. That's
might as well be a subcontractor.
Right. It's equipment.
Yeah.
So anyway, you need to give them tools too, right? Those are the salesperson's tools. But everything's pretty much the same, other than I think it's got to be really want a career path thing. The other thing here, so you see a lot of these same things.
You've got another section in there.
Yeah.
Oh, am I getting ahead of you?
Right. Which one? More about the job?
Yeah, more about the job.
Yeah. One of the things about that is I hear this too a lot. I've heard salespeople. I want a salesperson. What does that mean? Mm-hmm. Some people think that's picking up the phone and when it rings and you're a salesperson, you give an estimate on the phone, you get the deal or you don't, you're a salesperson, which is fine. Some people have salespeople that are also running the office, dispatching, being the communication between the client and the techs that are out doing the job. Mm-hmm. So that's a whole different. And then we've got some that have to follow up on the internet leads. Some don't. And then, like you said, some are just pounding the phone, joining networking, going to maybe some conventions or something, or home and garden shows and things like that, and getting business on their own. We'll give you a few leads. So there's a whole mess of things. I mean, the sales cycle is easy to understand, right? We prospect, we qualify, and then we sell something, right? But there's a lot of different things. Some people want that salesperson to be at full capacity. So they're not only in sales, but they're doing other customer service. They're doing a lot of things. We were doing that model for a while. Denise was selling and doing customer service, right? So we, and again, that goes back to those expectations, more about the job. What is that person to expect? Here, follow up on our sales leads generated through multiple networks. So that means they're getting leads. They know that they need to follow up. That's a little bit of a cold call. Maybe somebody might be interested and you're going to have to call them. Okay. It's not like they're walking into the retail store and you sell them a shirt. They're coming to you. Mm-hmm. So that's a big part of it. And you also want to sell some things there. We provide, I think you need to think a little bit about that too. Some training. Right. We always.
That was where I totally botched it last year.
Training's so important to talk about.
You have some sales experience. It was a tech of ours that we in Minneapolis, June, July, and then we knew he was going to go into surgery in September, and it was like, hey man, like we're either going to have to lay you off, or you have sales experience, you're polished, you're super likable. Why don't you go try to sell some stuff? I don't have a process. Just go sell it. Just book 8 appointments a day and go sell them. You're you've done the job. Go walk around the house, tell them what it's going to cost, and giddy up.
Yep.
Yeah. Believe it or not, it didn't work.
And there's a big difference between an estimator and a salesperson. I mean, it goes out actually.
Yeah, maybe that was what we had. We had an estimator.
Yeah. So, but training is important in all that, and tax and everything else. And that's one of the things I put in there most of the time. I might not have it in here. I don't know if I do. But most of the time I put something about training, because people want, and I think training, a good training program.
Yeah, we provide leadership training. You have that
I think that's important. A lot of times I put personal development too in there, things like that. But I think that they want to know that that what is training. If you have a good training program, that basically is confidence. I know I'll be confident if I'm trained right. That's one of the big things that you look at all the time when you're looking for a job is you want to be confident. Most people are nervous about a new job. You're meeting new people. If you have a great training program and the expectations, you have to don't put it in there if it sucks because they're going to leave in a heartbeat.
Yeah, people smell bullshit pretty quick.
Yeah.
Joe's back. I wonder, does that mean Joe's not bringing us a beer? Because we're running out of beer. Joe, we're running out of beer, man. I thought you were coming up to Dallas to bring us more beer.
Joe Mama, where you at?
All right. Well, we'll have to catch him later for a beer.
And then the requirements are basically the same.
Yeah.
All that stuff in there.
Sweet.
Yep.
Dude,
so
this
keywords
makes me
and all
just
that.
want to hire a salesperson. I don't even know if we need a salesperson, but I'd apply.
Go. The one thing I can tell you about sales is too, depending. Go ahead.
No, I'm so stupid. Like, I'm just terrible. I wanted to cut you off immediately and ask a question, even though you're like talking about something. So
go. You ask me questions.
So territory manager sales.
Yeah.
What was the derivative of that title? Like, how did you get to that?
Territory sales manager, I didn't hear that much about until I got in the industry.
Yeah.
And most of
But I see this is Maryland. So is that an East Coast thing?
No, it's not. A territory sales manager is not. It's the same as an area manager, basically.
Yeah.
It just.
Well, you were at Enterprise. What was the Enterprise terminology?
Sales executive. And then when
you're an executive just like that?
Just like that. Yeah, just like that. Didn't do anything else to earn it. What was the I think it was location manager sales manager was if you manage some salespeople.
Yeah.
But I think I don't.
Well, you'd be the sales manager if you manage sales. If you manage salespeople, you'd be the sales manager.
The manager of sales people, something like that. I don't know. So that's it. That's it.
Okay.
But
that's the one.
I will tell you that it's been a really difficult find to get good salespeople, to find people, even application flow.
Mm-hmm.
And we've done really well for Josh, and this happens to be his ad out in Maryland.
JT Money?
You got it. I think he's got 4 or 5 salespeople, something like that.
Yeah.
And doing well. And if it's not really a good high paying job, and that's another thing that we do is we'll look up salaries to make sure if we have a client that comes to us or we have a new position that we're looking for, bookkeeping or whatever it is, a lot of times you want to know that you're paying them at least the average. Yeah. Who's going to come to work for you if it's below average pay, industry average in your area? And it varies greatly from New York City to Cleveland, Ohio. Yeah. Right? You get paid a hell of a lot more in New York City than you do Cleveland, Ohio. So you want to make sure it's somewhere in the ballpark of what your competition's doing, or don't bother doing it, because that's a big thing. And I think well,
not only your competition, but in the job market, everybody's like, when you're searching for customers, your competition is way smaller.
Right.
When you're searching for employees, your competition is freaking. I almost was gonna throw that for you. It's freaking. It's massive.
Yeah.
Your competition is huge.
Right.
They can go anywhere.
And even I think sales might even be more than tech. I mean, tech you can do from retail, childcare, all kinds of different
manufacturing.
Things. Yeah. But I mean, you could sell anything if you're a sales. If you're a good salesman, you really can sell almost anything.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I do, and I suggest you do out there, and most of it has been from exterior cleaning business or lawn care, tree services, not so much the house cleaning end, interior cleaning stuff, maybe commercial, but not so much in the residential, is that, what was I going to say?
I don't know. It had to be good though.
It was super good, I think, too. Man, does that piss me off?
Isn't that the worst?
I almost F-bombed. I
was literally just thinking like damn, I'm getting tired. And I was like, oh yeah, Sean went backwards an hour, so it's really 10 o'clock, 10:20 for you.
Haven't been
And I'm
sleeping so
complaining.
good, coughing all night long either. But anyway, it was a really exterior sales.
So you were saying like we don't hire salespeople
This is
for
more
home
so
cleaning,
out.
but I can't even like lead you back to it. Because I was sitting here thinking like, I'm just freaking tired.
I'm gonna think about that for a minute and I'll let you know.
You can put it back in the comments.
I
As the
will.
co-host of
I
the
will.
show, I'll allow you to put it back in the comments.
One of the things is, I can tell you, I don't think this is what I was going to say, but this is important too. I almost had it again. Indeed versus LinkedIn. I was going to kind of segue into LinkedIn a little bit, I think.
Yeah. Well,
So,
and I know, like, I don't want to like steal your thunder. Well, now I'm gonna say stuff, and then you're gonna forget what you're gonna say.
I'm, you know what I'm doing in my mind right now?
Like-
LinkedIn.
And you've been telling me about some AI stuff.
Yeah,
So I'm curious if that like wraps into sales related positions. But anyway,
it does. It does. So, it indeed, that's really where you go for text. I mean, you can't beat it.
mm-hmm.
You know how much
That's where they're at.
Yeah,
That's where
that's
they hang
where
out.
they go. Some sales you can do in there, but you're better off doing resume searches. Got it. Beautiful.
Boom.
So what
Killed enough time.
what industries, if you go into anywhere, a job board or whatever, and you want to get you own a power washing company and you want to go in and get a power washing salesperson, I can tell you right now, you're not going to find a power washing salesperson. So I go into different industries like roofing. Have you ever sold anything about roofs or roof repair? Okay. Windows. Have you ever
Like
sold
window
window installing?
Okay.
Windows, Pella Windows, Anderson,
Yeah,
that type of thing.
they do have some
Building materials, things like that are sort of that. Those are
pest
sort
control
of
has a lot of
pest
sales
control,
people.
big time sales. Any type of like route-ish work, industry, those are kind of blue collar type of businesses, right? We're not looking at
True
them.
green,
Yeah, we're
lawn
not
care.
exactly all those.
Mhm.
And so you can get a lot of good salespeople from those industries. So I highly recommend when you're doing resume searches, that could be one of the things that you look for. But LinkedIn's pretty cool. And I'm not going to touch on this a whole bunch.
I was gonna say we're like an hour in, so we got to save some stuff for next time.
Two things,
All right.
real quick. One is one of the reasons you want to post in almost everywhere you can, even if it's not about application flow necessarily, it is. And here's why, because I'm showing you right now, Google Jobs. I did house cleaning jobs, Chesterland, Ohio. That's where our one office is located. And we come up on top here as the house cleaner, Your Blue Sky Services. And this is Google Jobs. You can't pay to be on top. It's just there. I can never pronounce algorithm.
Yeah.
Eggs are like what we had in that box this morning.
Yeah.
We got our breakfast.
Our overpriced breakfast.
Yeah, delivered in a shoebox. That was great. Oh, that was good. So anyway, that's the one thing. But Google says, geez, this job's been posted in a lot of different places. Let's put it on top. So when somebody said, hey, I'd like to look for a house cleaning job in Chesterland, Ohio, we were on top because we're everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so that's one thing. But LinkedIn is more about a little bit about we've got some artificial intelligence, but I'm going to save that for another time because it's too much. But LinkedIn is all about, believe it or not, being a little bit social and connecting.
Yeah.
Indeed's not like that. Indeed's about post a job, get a bunch of applications. You don't care who it is.
Transactional.
Right.
Everybody's
It's very
there for the same
transactional.
reason, just
Right. LinkedIn is
give me
relationship.
the damn job.
So I've got, let me see if I had it here. So I went through about 100 connections and emailing and LinkedIn going back and forth with some salespeople.
Okay.
And so here's one of the messages I got. I appreciate you reaching out, but at this point, I'm having a lot of success of where I'm at. I do know a lot of other people in sales who is the client that you are representing, and I'll be happy to help you out. So salespeople, if you talk that,
Yeah. Salespeople.
there's not one business owner that isn't a salesperson.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
So if you tell a salesperson you've been in sales for a while, you own a business and blah, 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 they're going to talk to you because of your body. It's like meeting a salesperson at a bar.
Yep.
Hey, I'm in sales too. You're going to sit there and you're going to talk. So anyway, that's where you need to be for sales is in
Yeah.
LinkedIn. And I can go into that a
I
lot
got
more too.
distracted because JT Money just joined. He's watching. Right. I mean, but don't tell him that. We just like gave away all of his secrets.
He's on rock and roll. Yeah, we weren't talking about you. You can't replay this.
Yeah, don't go back and look
no.
at what we had to say about you, Josh. It was, trust us, it was really good. We just hyped you up. You're the man.
I was bragging on how well we do for you. Now I hope we're doing all right for you. I think we are anyway. He tells us we are. So I do appreciate that. Yeah, right. What else? I mean, that's pretty much the two things we wanted to talk about. I mean, salespeople, you can get them. You just have to.
It's different.
Yeah,
it's a totally different human being.
Yep.
Which, and obviously, it's got to be. I found that out last summer trying to transition my technician.
Yep.
Who, if he watches this, he's the man. We do want him to come back. We just want him cleaning windows. So as the co-host, I get to help wrap up. But
cool.
Then you got to say like any final thoughts or whatever you got to do in that other beer. That other beer is gonna be really warm. You might want to go swap that one for the cold one.
I think I will. Talk about
so I get to wrap things up, which is give us a like, give us a share, support Sean and what he's doing. He's helping a shit ton of people. I'm not gonna say the F word. He's helping a shit ton of people. Not only like he's doing the recruiting for them, and he's got a team with customer service people and recruiters and all that sort of stuff. But like, don't be shy of just throwing stuff in here. Sean is literally posting. You kind of make me feel bad about my bookkeeping beer and BS thing because I just like really go on Wednesdays. I don't really post anything else.
Right.
Like Sean's posting something every day to help all of you guys hire the right people, hire more of them. People are the thing that makes you money. Bookkeeping is just the thing that keeps track of your money.
Right.
Like I really don't do anything useful. I can help you like not spend it. But employees in the service industry, that is the only way that you make money. You spend money on marketing, and then you have employees go and clean it. And if you don't have good employees, you don't have a business. So this is the most important thing that you have, especially in this labor market. Customers are not hard to find. Good employees are really freaking hard to find. So make sure you're taking Sean's advice. Throw some feedback in here if there's other stuff that you guys want to hear about. I'm going to volunteer Sean's time to do the research to help. But give it a like, give it a share, give it a thumbs up, give them all the social media things that you can give them. Invite other people to the group. I tried to, when I shared it tonight, I tried to like tag the group. But if you're seeing this, join the group. More people is a lot more fun. So get into the party. And don't forget, because I suck at doing this on the bookkeeping side of things, like if this is not your jam, if you're like, hey, that's cool, guys, glad you guys like doing that. I hate doing that. And I especially hate filtering all the applicants and doing this and doing that. This is like what Sean does for a living. So if you need help with recruiting, writing the job ads, filtering them, like getting all the way, everything set up to the interview. Sean does that. His team even has it set up to do all the onboarding stuff electronically for you, get you on a sweet platform. So, and get it at like a massive discount to what you would have to pay for it because we have a ton of people on it. So get the benefit of all the things that Sean and his team can do for you, so that you can just like go run your business and not have to worry about sorting through crazy applications. That's it. That's all I got.
That sounds good to me.
Cool.
We're going to try to do this every Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern time. Dan might not be on all the time. I will be. And I know we've had some clickiness going on with Zoom and Facebook.
Technology is not, we're bookkeepers and recruiters. So,
not directors and producers.
Yeah. We're getting better though.
We are. We're on now.
It only didn't work once tonight, and then we got it to work. So here we are.
There you go. That's it. I think we're good.
You have to do the thing on your screen.
See?
Rookie. He's got to do the thing. I'm just like watching your screen on my screen. It's actually kind of tricky.
I would guess that it is stop or end.
Well, that's your stop share. And now you got to go to the more button right there. Go to more.
All right. Oh, yep.
Go to more.
More.
And then you hit the stop. We got this.
God bless y'all.
See you.